By Joe Biden to step off the Democratic ticket comes after so many concerns expressed by party leaders, by donors about his re-election bid and how viable it was. Many New York Democratic lawmakers have expressed support for Biden and have praised his choice. In a letter to the nation, the president wrote, "It has been the greatest honor of my life to serve as your president." He said it had been his intention to seek re-election, but he believes now it is in the best interest of his party and the country to stand down. He said he will focus solely on fulfilling his duties as president for the remainder of the term.
Tremendous patriot, a tremendous president who's done an amazing job on our behalf over the last 3.5 years. America is better off today because of the incredible leadership of President Joe Biden.
We heard a lot of that yesterday. In a Twitter post, Hakeem Jeffries added that President Biden is one of the most accomplished and consequential leaders in American history, expressing enduring gratitude. With us now for the latest on the reaction in Washington, Kevin Fry. Kevin, good morning. This has been quite a 24 hours. I want to talk first about where Kamala Harris stands. Is there going to be an open process, or is this some sort of a quick path for Kamala Harris?
Well, I mean, let's just start with the logistical question, which is this is kind of an unprecedented event, so we don't fully know how all of this is going to shape up. You know, the DNC folks are meeting to kind of try to figure out the formal path forward in coming days and weeks. But right now, in terms of how Harris is doing, I mean, she was reportedly working the phones throughout the day yesterday, and she's already stacked up a lot of high-profile endorsements from those that are perhaps more of the mainstream of the party. Think the Clintons to the most progressive members, the high-profile progressive members like Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who just earlier last week was very much adamant that Biden should remain the nominee. She came out last night and said that she supports Kamala and wants to get her elected. And just to give you a sense of the money race here, as of about 5:30 this morning, the DNC, Democrats, and the Biden-Harris campaign, or now the Harris campaign, I suppose, announced that they've raised, since Biden dropped out and formally threw his support behind Harris, close to $50 million in what they describe as grassroots sort of donations. So clearly a bit of a galvanizing effect. We've yet to see if anyone formally throws their hat in the ring to oppose her in any sort of primary contest.
Can she get out from under the weight of this repeated Republican criticism last week that these Democrats have presided over this border situation, that these Democrats have presided over high inflation? Is she tied to it in a way that she can't get away from it because of her links to Biden?
I mean, look, this is kind of the difficult path that she now has to operate in, and perhaps it's also a bit of a blessing alongside the curse. Yes, she is going to be hit for everything that the Biden-Harris administration did over the last 4 years. So she can tout things that she really likes. She can tout the investments in chips and semiconductor manufacturing. She can tout the investments in climate change. But she can also say that, you know, behind the scenes, I did not fully agree with Biden, but I was just doing my due diligence as his vice president, supporting his decisioning. But I would have done something different on this front. You already, though, as you hinted at there, see the Republicans coalescing around kind of one key message is that she is, quote unquote, the border czar. This stems from a few years ago when Biden basically tasked her with, as she has described it, overseeing the root causes of immigration. So looking at what's going on in some of those Central American countries where a lot of the migrants originate from. And she was not necessarily in charge of the border itself. Nonetheless, she is going to be tied to those border policies by these Republicans and certainly the Trump campaign, which has already tried to make immigration an issue since the get-go in this election season.
So I don't want to entirely dismiss the idea that other candidates could emerge, that this will go straight toward Kamala Harris. But if we're on this path, what are you hearing in D.C. about who has an interest in being a vice president to Kamala Harris?
Right, so the Veep stakes are well underway. We have, among other things, we have a few key governors in some battleground states looking at, for example, the governor of North Carolina, the governor of Pennsylvania, the governor of Wisconsin, of Michigan, as some of the key names that are being floated there. What's important about all of them? Well, those are all states that Harris would certainly like to win if she wants to become the president, especially those in that blue wall of Midwest Rust Belt states that really Democrats were able to flip in 2020 and thus secure Biden the presidency. There's also some other names that have been floated, including Senator Kelly of Arizona. He, of course, also a battleground state and also has a military background that'll certainly be something that he can kind of lean on as part of a campaign message.
Kevin, Jamie's been making up a list this morning of possible vice president candidates. Did Kevin check a lot of your boxes
you
there?
You almost checked all of them. I have 8 people on my list here. I know you can't read that on the TV screen, but I just wanted to make sure I was in sync with you, Kevin.
Kevin, quickly to finish here, what's on your calendar now?
Right. So, I mean, look, the next couple days are going to probably be pretty critical. One thing we have not seen thus far is House and Senate leadership come out, at least the top leaders of both chambers come out and formally endorse Kamala Harris. So Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, Senator Chuck Schumer. One can imagine part of that is they want to push back on this narrative that Republicans have come out with, which is that this is some sort of coup, that they are completely disenfranchising everyone, and that this is all kind of choreographed. By holding back, they can kind of prevent some of that narrative and make it feel a little bit more organic. But at some point, we'll probably hear from them. We know that at least Schumer had a call with Harris yesterday, is what a source tells me. So those conversations are undoubtedly underway. And now we just also have to see what the DNC's process is going to look like. They were supposed to do a virtual roll call in a matter of weeks in early August before they even got to the convention. It's unclear if that's still happening, but those are kind of the next couple touch points I would keep an eye on.
Kevin Fry in Washington. Thank you, Kevin.
No problem.